Claire's fingers trace the rim of her wine glass. The penthouse dining room feels too big tonight, too empty, even with Martin sitting across from her. He's smiling. That smile, the one that used to make her stomach flutter. Now it just makes her stomach tight. The envelope sits between them on the polished oak table. White, official, heavy with intention. "Open it," he says. Her heart pounds. Not from shock. She's known this was coming for months. But knowing something and experiencing it are different countries entirely. She opens the envelope. Petition for dissolution of marriage. The words swim. Her throat closes. She forces herself to read the settlement amount. $75,000. 30 years. $75,000. Her hands want to shake. She won't let them. Martin leans back. The leather chair creaks. He looks comfortable, victorious, like he's just closed the biggest deal of his life. "I've been more than generous," he says. His voice is smooth, practiced. "Considering everything." Claire's mouth is dry. "Considering what?" "Considering you've spent 30 years doing essentially nothing." The words land like stones in still water, ripples spreading outward, touching everything. She stares at the papers, at the numbers that reduce 3 decades to barely enough for a year's rent. "I sold the company yesterday," Martin continues. He stands, walks to the window. Chicago glitters below them. $5 million. Cash. "I'm finally free, Claire. We both are." He turns. That smile again. "You'll land on your feet. You always do." He leaves the room whistling. Claire sits alone, the envelope heavy in her lap, the silence heavier. She doesn't cry. She's done crying. Instead, she reaches for her phone, opens a folder she's titled Documentation, scrolls through files she's been collecting for years. Her lips curve, just slightly. Martin has no idea what he's just done. The coffee shop smelled like rain and burnt espresso. Claire was 23. Her business degree still felt new, stiff, like shoes that hadn't been broken in yet. Hot liquid exploded across her white blouse. She gasped. "God, I'm so sorry." The man who'd knocked into her was already pulling out his wallet, fumbling, desperate. "Please, let me pay for dry cleaning. I'm late for a pitch, and I'm just—" "What kind of pitch?" He stopped, looked at her properly for the first time. "Tech startup. Cloud infrastructure for small businesses. It's boring. You don't— Your margins are probably too thin. Small businesses won't pay enterprise prices. You need a tiered model." He blinked. That's how it started. A stained blouse and unsolicited business advice. Martin called her 3 times that week, not for dates, for help. "You understand this stuff," he said on their 4th coffee meeting. "The way I don't. I need that. I need you." Need. The word hummed in her chest, made her feel important, seen. She was too young to understand that need and love are different languages entirely. The wedding was small, City Hall. Her mother cried. His parents didn't come. "We don't need them," Martin said. His hand was warm in hers. "We're building something new. Together. Together." Claire believed him. The first 3 years were electric. She wasn't on the company payroll, but she was there. Late nights reviewing contracts with Martin, early mornings running projections, finding the errors he missed, smoothing the edges he left rough. "You're brilliant," he'd say, kissing her forehead at 2 in the morning, both of them exhausted, both of them happy. Then Emma arrived, tiny, perfect, screaming at 3 in the morning. "You should stay home," Martin said, not asking, stating. "She needs you." Claire's body ached. Her breasts leaked. Her brain felt foggy. "Just for a while," she whispered. A while stretched. Weeks became months, became years. Martin stopped asking her opinion on business decisions, stopped mentioning deals over dinner. The company became his territory, his kingdom, Claire became the woman who kept the house running, who made sure Emma got to dance class, who smiled at Martin's business parties and said very little. People stopped asking what she did. She could see it in their eyes. The moment they categorized her, filed her away as unimportant, she felt herself disappearing, slowly, like a photograph left in sunlight. The bankruptcy nearly killed Martin. Claire found him in his office at midnight, staring at spreadsheets. His face was gray. "We can't make payroll," he whispered. "The creditors are calling everything I built." His hands trembled. Claire had never seen him tremble. "There's a way," she said quietly. Her mind was already calculating, already seeing the angles. "Transfer majority ownership to me. Shield the assets. The creditors can't touch what I own." "That's legal, barely." Martin looked at her. Really looked. For the first time in months. "You'd do that?" "We're married." The papers went through fast. 75% of the company transferred to Claire Montgomery, her name on everything, her signature binding it all. "Just temporary," Martin promised, "until we stabilize." Claire nodded, but something shifted in her chest. A door opening, a realization forming. She owned the company now, most of it anyway. Martin recovered. The company grew, expanded, became something massive. The transfer back papers never came. Martin was too busy, too successful, too focused on the next deal. Claire waited, watched, said nothing. Emma left for college with boxes of books and nervous energy. The house became a museum. Claire walked through rooms that stayed perfect because no one lived in them. Martin traveled constantly, came home smelling like airport lounges and other people's perfume. Claire started spending afternoons at the library, reading financial journals, investment magazines, learning the language of money in ways she'd never had time for before. She opened accounts Martin didn't know about. Small amounts at first, money inherited from her mother. Household savings skimmed from 15 years of careful budgeting. She invested carefully, patiently, watching her modest amounts grow into something substantial, then significant. While Martin bragged about his millions, Claire quietly accumulated her own, different, separate, secret. The text message came during dinner. Martin's phone lit up on the table. He grabbed it too quickly, smiled at the screen. "Miss you. When are you telling her?" Claire saw it. He didn't realize she saw it. Her fork stayed steady. Her face stayed calm. Inside, something crystallized. She hired an investigator the next morning, a woman named Sharon, former detective, efficient, discreet. The photos arrived in a manila envelope 1 week later. Martin leaving a hotel with a blonde woman, young, laughing, his hand on her lower back. Claire studied the images at her kitchen table, cup of tea cooling, afternoon light slanting through windows. She felt clear, like fog lifting, not heartbroken, just certain. She called her lawyer that afternoon. Martin got sloppy, left his phone unlocked on the bathroom counter, text messages scrolling past like confessions. "Can't wait for Cabo. Leave her soon, please. I love you so much." Claire memorized every word, not from pain, from strategy. She met with lawyers, different cities, different firms, learning about asset protection, corporate ownership, the power she'd forgotten she had. One lawyer, Patricia, laid it out plainly. "You own 75% of his company, legally. He never transferred those shares back. Do you understand what that means?" Claire understood. She began planning. Martin started acting strange, giddy, secretive in new ways. "How attached are you to this house?" he asked one night. "Why?" "Just curious. If we ever wanted to downsize, after Emma's settled." Claire nodded, kept folding laundry. She knew what was coming, could feel it building like pressure before a storm. She contacted Martin's business partners, casual coffee meetings. "Just wanting to stay connected after all these years." They told her everything. About the pending sale, $5 million from a San Francisco tech firm. The deal nearly finalized. They told her Martin planned to take the money, start fresh somewhere warm, someone new. They mentioned his calculated settlement for her, $75,000. Claire thanked them, smiled, ordered another coffee. Inside, she was doing math. The anniversary dinner reservation appeared on their calendar. Martin made it himself. Some Italian restaurant, private room, expensive. We should celebrate, he said. 30 years is significant. It is. Claire made her own preparations, called Patricia. It's time. Gathered her documentation, every piece of evidence, every financial record, every forgotten transfer of ownership. She felt calm, eerily calm, like standing in the eye of a hurricane. Before we continue, if you're feeling this story, hit that subscribe button. We share real-life tales 3 times a week. Drop your city in the comments. I love seeing where you're all watching from. Now let's see what Claire did next. The restaurant was beautiful. White tablecloths, crystal chandeliers, a quartet playing something soft and sad. Martin wore his best suit. The tie was new, probably chosen by Amber. Claire wore navy blue, simple, elegant, the diamond earrings from their 10th anniversary. Back when he remembered anniversaries. They sat across from each other. The table felt like an ocean. Small talk died quickly. Martin ordered wine, the expensive kind, the kind meant for celebrations or endings. Then he pulled out the envelope. Claire's heart hammered. She made her breathing slow, steady. "We need to talk," Martin said. That tone, that closing the deal tone. "I know." He froze. "You know? About Amber, the sale, your plans." His face cycled through colors. Red, white, red again. "How long have you—" "Long enough." He recovered, straightened his tie, leaned back, found his confidence again. "Then this shouldn't surprise you." He pushed the envelope across the table. "I've been generous, fair even." Claire opened it. Read slowly. $75,000. She could taste metal, could feel heat behind her eyes. "Fair? For someone who's done nothing for 30 years? Yes." There it was. The thing he actually believed. "I raised Emma." "Plenty of people raise children." "I kept your house." "That's not a career, Claire." "I saved your company." He waved his hand, dismissive, like swatting a fly. "Ancient history. I'm the one who built it into what it is. My vision, my work, my success." Claire folded the papers, set them aside, reached into her purse, pulled out her own envelope. "What's that?" Martin asked, annoyed now, impatient. "Context." She slid it across. Martin opened it. His face went slack. Stock certificates, dated 15 years back. Claire Montgomery, 75% ownership. "What?" "The shares you transferred to save the company. Remember, you never transferred them back." Silence, heavy as gravity. "That was temporary. Not legally. You're bluffing. Check with your lawyers." She showed him her phone, email from his head of legal, confirmation. The shares were hers, had been for 15 years, legally binding. Martin's hands shook, actually shook. "The closing is in 3 days." "I know." "Claire, listen." His voice cracked. "We can work this out. We can—" "I'll see you at the closing, 9 a.m. Don't be late." She stood, smoothed her dress, left him sitting there, alone with his expensive wine and dying plans. The conference room overlooked Lake Michigan, glass and steel, 20th floor. The buyers sat on one side, 3 executives in hoodies and watches worth more than cars. Martin sat opposite, his lawyer beside him, both looking confident. Claire arrived exactly on time, Patricia with her. "Mrs. Montgomery." The lead buyer stood. "We're glad you could join us. Thank you for accommodating my schedule." She sat at the head of the table, Martin's usual spot. Martin shifted. Claire, perhaps we should discuss the sale? Yes, let's. She opened her briefcase, pulled out documents, slid them across. These are the ownership records. As you can see, I own 75%. Martin owns 25. The lead buyer frowned, looked at Martin. You said you owned the company. It's complicated. We're married. It's all... Nothing about our finances is joint, Claire said calmly. You insured that years ago. The buyers started reading, faces darkening. Mrs. Montgomery, are you agreeable to this sale? Under different terms. Such as? She pulled out another paper. I want full control of negotiations. Martin's employment terminates immediately, and I'll need revised numbers. Claire, Martin stood. You can't. I can. I own this company, legally, completely. The room fell silent. One buyer cleared his throat. Could we speak privately, Mrs. Montgomery? Of course. She stood, walked to an adjoining room. Patricia followed. Martin stayed behind, face ashen, watching everything crumble. 2 hours passed. Claire returned, face neutral. The deal is restructured. 7 million, not 5. They've agreed to my terms. Martin sagged. Thank God. Claire, I knew... You're fired, Martin. Effective immediately. The board voted this morning. Unanimous. His face collapsed. She slid papers toward him. Your severance. $60,000. More than generous considering. The echo of his own words. Sign. His hand shook so badly the signature barely looked real. Claire walked to her car. Martin found her in the parking garage. Claire, please. Desperate, unraveling. We can fix this. I'll cancel the divorce. You'll get half. That's fair. Half of what? You have nothing. The sale money. My money. I own the company. He stepped closer. You're really taking everything? I'm taking what was always mine, what I should have claimed when you stopped seeing me, when you decided I was furniture. She unlocked her car. Black, sleek, new. Where did you get that? I bought it, with my money, from my investments. His face showed confusion, disbelief. What investments? The ones I've been making for 15 years while you assumed I did nothing. She got in, started the engine. What am I supposed to do? He whispered. Start over. Isn't that what you wanted? A fresh start? She drove away, didn't look back. The Montgomery Foundation for Women in Business opened on a Tuesday. Glass and steel, modern, light-filled. Emma cut the ribbon beside Claire, both of them smiling. Inside, women of all ages gathered, all backgrounds, all with stories of being underestimated, overlooked, told they were nothing. Claire had invested $3 million into the foundation. Permanent funding, permanent change, microloans, business training, legal support, everything she wished she'd had. The women thanked her, hugged her, cried. Claire felt something unlock in her chest, something that had been closed for 30 years. Martin called that night. Claire let it ring to voicemail. $3 million to spite me, his voice said, bitter, small. To charity I'd never support. You did this to hurt me. She deleted it mid-sentence. He still didn't understand. This was never about him. The divorce finalized on a Wednesday. Patricia brought the papers to Claire's office, smaller than Martin's had been, but hers. He got the house, one car, $75,000, the exact amount he'd offered Claire. Poetry, Claire said softly. He's appealing, claims manipulation. Let him. Patricia smiled, set the papers down. People will call you vindictive. People called me nothing for 30 years. I can handle vindictive. As 3 years slipped by, the foundation flourished, expanding to 12 cities and helping over 400 women start businesses. Claire spoke at conferences, shared her story, not for sympathy, for illustration. The power was always mine, she told audiences. The paperwork existed. The ownership was legal. I just had to stop being afraid to use it. Women lined up after her speeches, wanting advice, wanting hope. "How were you so brave?" they asked. "I wasn't brave," Claire said. "I was tired. Sometimes that's the same thing." 5 more years passed, bringing new milestones. Emma got married, small ceremony, intimate. Claire walked her daughter down the aisle. No father present. Emma's choice. At the reception, Emma pulled her mother close. "I hope I'm strong like you." "You already are. You never let anyone convince you to be small." "You taught me that." "I taught you by finally learning it myself." A decade after the divorce, Claire retired from active foundation leadership, handed it to younger women with fire and vision. She traveled, Paris, Tokyo, Buenos Aires, all the places Martin had promised but never delivered. She sent postcards to Emma, to friends, to herself, having the time of my life. And she was. The story ends here, not because Claire's life ended, but because the important part was over. The part where she learned that quiet doesn't mean weak, that patience isn't passivity, that the power you give away is the only power you really lose. Martin learned something, too, in his studio apartment in Naperville, taking the train to his regional sales job. He learned that empires built on underestimating people are built on sand, and sand shifts. If this story moved you, think about the power you might be giving away without realizing it, not in grand gestures, in small silences, small acceptances of less than you deserve. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is stop pretending you're powerless. Hit subscribe if you want more stories like this. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. And remember, you're never too old, too late, or too quiet to reclaim what's yours. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.